Well, it's been a busy 2020 so far, and this is the last of 5 shows we're doing about our potato pursuit and more potatoes, pursuing potatoes and more. So let's explain. As the 2020s began, also did the COVID pandemic, and we had fun participating in Getty's Art Challenge. Excuse me, in which we recreated the famous painting Angelus, or Prayer for the Potato. This is a French couple praying at the end of the day over their meager potato crop, and we reproduced that with our modern baseball and golf theme. Also, early in the 2020s, I volunteered, or I got accepted to be a teacher on OutSchool, and you can read about that here as I talk about. This is the audition, or this is the video that all the teachers have, so people can. Welcome to the Global Awareness Lab. Hi, I'm Tom, the Global Guy, and this is my dog Tallahassee. You know, we can learn a lot about the world by just our pets, where our pets are from. She's part Maltese Terrier, miniature French Poodle, and I don't know where else, maybe China. And we also can learn a lot about the world from the clothes we wear, just by looking at labels. This tie, for instance, is silk is from Japan, but the tie shows the San Andreas Fault in California, another important subject that we study in the Global Awareness Lab. So I like to use all of the objects I've collected from around the world. I love travel. I love sharing the objects that I've collected with my students. And we do a lot of visualized mapping. We turn everybody into compasses. They learn how to do everything by visualizing maps and then putting them on paper. So we hope you can join us in the Global Awareness Lab. And yeah, Hassie, I know that Siamese cat is back again. And Siam, now where is that? Siam, of course, is the modern country of Thailand. My most popular course is Global Supply Geography, how everything from products to pandemics reach us. And most of my courses that are online were food, much of them were food oriented, of course. And here's another COVID projects that we completed. 2 projects I finished during COVID, early 2020s, was the Potato Museum and a book, and my memoir of my time in Iran. Let's look at this one first. This is a heavily illustrated book of features, samples from our collection, a Potato Museum collection, so that people, what?
Well, so you can get a sense of the primary items in the collection, although there's many, many more.
Yeah.
And you can buy this book on Amazon and just steep yourself in potato.
Yeah, so you don't have to visit the Potato Museum. You can just see it in the book. And we divided it into these categories: origins, ubiquitous, living, delicious, powerful, artful, and playful. These are the kind of categories that we've been doing during our exhibition showing the collection. So that's that one. Then my other COVID project was a memoir of my time in Iran. This is our housekeeper there, and a wonderful woman, Shireen. This book actually explains the origins of my interest in food history. It was actually living and traveling in Iran, and that is where it all started. My interest in it, and lots of food stories, lots of food
And this
references.
propelled you as a teacher to really be a teacher.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so there you go. 2 COVID projects.
Buy them.
Yeah, so there's a little more detail about how we break down the subject of the potato in the exhibits we've been doing and how we did it in this book. Here's a little bit more about Iran and me. Here's another COVID project that I finished, and it was based on an online site. Let's learn about that. Did eating in New Mexico. This was also an online exhibit. Look at the extent of it. This was all online for years about New Mexico food history and historic sites.
And this became a book.
Yeah, this became
3 books.
3 books, yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
All available on Amazon, people. All available.
A little bit more here. So a little bit more about the Eating History series in New Mexico. So did this book, and the idea was
each tour around each part of the state, so you could follow this route and see all these historic sites that I've been writing about. So there was the Northeast, Albuquerque, the Northwest, Santa Fe, and all of this corner, and then all the Southwest. But this book was so big, we had to put it into three
In
different
fact,
books.
a friend of ours suggested
Yeah.
that it was too big for a traveler.
So, for instance, this is Santa Fe and northwestern New Mexico's eating history, a tour of food heritage sites, so you can see Santa Fe here, and it wraps around. These books are heavily illustrated with our travels and research. Let's see. And then this one is the Albuquerque and Northeast New Mexico. So in 2020, we completed a project which we've been calling the Eats series, or Eating History series. It started back when I did a little guidebook to my hometown, Eats Haddonfield, a tour of food historic sites. It's a little town outside of Philadelphia where I grew up. So that was a town, food history of a town. And then I did the food history of a metropolitan area, San Francisco Bay Area. And then I did the food history of an entire county, Pinellas in Florida. And then in 2020, this was a COVID project. Eats New Mexico, places, people, past and present. And that's a big, thick book. And then it turned out, put it into three different books. So that was a COVID project. So that was an entire state. Then earlier in 2000s, Meredith and I did this book about an entire country. And then we did this book on a trip that included 5 nations. So this is quite an accomplishment, from a town to a city to a county to an entire state to an entire city and 5 entire country, and then 5 nations. The Eating History Project finished in the 2020s. So here we have 22 books. Many of them I wrote on my own, but 3 or 4 of them Meredith wrote, and I just helped. Here's a list of them. And it's, so there's the ones written by Meredith with me helping out. And then one of my favorite books, maybe my favorite of all time, is the book I collaborated with my son Gulliver. He took the photos, which are one of the high points of the book, of Alleys, History of the Alleys of Washington, D.C., featuring his photos and my research. And it's a walking tour, so you can follow all these alleys and do all these stops. This is the book that Meredith and I did, traveling around France. She wrote all of the text. I did all the photos and a lot of the research. Same with, I did a lot of the photos, collected the research. Meredith wrote everything in this book. Same with this. I helped out with some of the research. She wrote it all. And then this was our first book that we did together, the Great Potato Book. And then here's the others that I did all on my own. So yeah, quite an accomplishment for our family and the world, our gift to the world in terms of the way we look at food and food history. So yeah, that potato book, I want to go back to that. The the Alleys book was heavily, I discovered, was the Alleys of Washington had a heavy emphasis on food. This is where the food carts were kept. This is where a lot of small processors, excuse me, were processing food, making cheese and all that sort of thing. So the Alleys had a whole life of their own, and much of it was food oriented. So here. Hi, I want to talk about food heritage matters. We've been doing a number of projects to help people understand how we ate and will eat, personal, local, global food histories. This is a really big book, which is full of our So why Food Heritage Matters. There's the Potato Museum story, Food Museum's personal and family food history. So this was a book that
Of course, Tom
2017.
did it, really. His name is right there.
Yeah.
These are his
So
books.
this is a database that I am very proud to have assembled. Then this book, Eats History, Cooking with Fire and Printing Up History. This is identifying
Printing up pizza, it says.
identifying where humans hunted, gathered, fished, etc. And here's the table of contents for that one.
I wanted
you
to
can
say
see-
something about the cover because we own that.
So we want to talk about the Food Heritage Center and our network project, and we've been talking about how some food heritage sites are preserved, others are threatened, some are lost, etc. Look at all these different ones. So this book and this book.
Are
versions of-
available online from Amazon if you want to buy them.
So some components of these books went into a separate book about Your Food Memories Matter. Pursuing personal food histories can lead to a healthier families and more sustainable communities. And this book was pulled out of this book so that it was just focusing on food memories. And then pulled out of this book was a focus on food museums, real and imagined, because lots of food themed museums around the world, not so many in the United States. I wanted to call attention to that. And then the whole thing is wrapped up in this book, Before We Eat, Food is Gathered, etc. This is explaining our vision for a food heritage center, and all these books were accomplished by the 2020s. And I'm pretty proud of them. This is a database for future historians to build upon. Yeah, this little book about my hometown, Haddonfield, New Jersey, historic little Haddonfield. I was during COVID. Well, they wanted me to speak in front of their historic society group, but because of COVID, we did it via Zoom session. And there's a review of the book. Up there. Excuse me. It is allergy season. My throat's hard, so I apologize for that. The big event, the big project that is ongoing for us is the Potato Museum show. It's on YouTube. These are cards that we hand out to people. We set up a studio, a study collection, a display collection, and we're filming, and basically a TV studio, and be able to show the artifacts. We've done over 200 videos on all aspects of the potato, focused on our collection. This is where we do our shows in the winter and also in the summer when it's too hot to be in the studio. The exhibit studio out in the garage. There's Hassie getting ready for, I don't know what she's getting ready for, but
Digging potatoes.
yeah, she's digging potatoes. So all the future shows are all in these bins, all different subjects, and below them are archival miscellaneous that we haven't yet uncovered to put into future shows. And you can see we're all set up to do a show about, what are we doing here?
The Netherlands.
The Netherlands, yeah.
Aardappelland.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that show now. And this is the kind of setup that we've been doing for all these shows in the winter and the summer. I don't know when we started. I think it was back in the 80s. We started doing a newsletter called the Potato Museum's Peelings. We got up to 66 issues. We would send them out. And this is a compilation of them. All sorts of topics. We had a lot of fun doing this. People
It
really
was
enjoyed
fun, and we had a lot of subscribers.
And a lot of the shows that we're doing now on YouTube come from these subjects. Look, here's chips, and here's potato places around the world. The potato blossom. Look at these guys holding potatoes. And here's I found this. So we're always gratified when a journalist, in this case, Matt Reynolds of Wired Magazine in London, gets in touch. His link to our food museum shows, one of the links led to 65,000 views. So here's what we had to say in the article. We are part of an ongoing documentary project with a company in Belfast, Ireland, and they're preparing for the arrival of these filmmakers. Sam and Callum from Belfast reignited our focus on the potato and initiated the lengthy re-exploration of our collection and archives of the Potato Museum, because we pulled it out of deep storage and saw many of these things for the first time. This all then promoted the creation of our YouTube channel. But first, we had to pull and organize a storage unit which had the potato collection that we hadn't looked at for maybe 10 years, and this took a lot of physical effort, but it was worth it to be able to see the collection again. And making progress. Day 4, I think. All these came back from an exhibit we had in DC. Everything was packed great, and but now we're going to be able to show off some of these things after having seen them for 13 years. So here we go. So with the help of some neighbors, we moved the much of the potato collection into another storage unit and started opening these bins and seeing artifacts that we haven't seen for many years. And we then set up a display study exhibit for the filmmakers to have a look at the collection and to have it divided into the categories that we show, and the origins of the potato and delicious and all that sort of thing. Here we are. Here they are. They arrived, and they're over in the storage unit. We were opening these bins, looking at the objects. We were seeing them for the first time in 10, 15 years, which was great. They also filmed Meredith paying the bill at the storage unit, because this is expensive to keep all this collection stored, and now at two different locations, so kind of an expensive proposition, and we weren't earning any income from the collection at the time. They also came back to the house and filmed Meredith singing some potato songs and cooking some potato dishes. Another thing that happened recently in the 2020s was a baseball team in New Hampshire, which is where the first potatoes were grown commercially in 1719 in Derry. They got onto this idea that the potatoes were the first vegetable grown in space, so they had a special team shirt and special games for the space potato team that they were calling it. By the way, there's the T-shirt that was made for the crew that grew the first potatoes in space, Space Shuttle 73, the Columbia Space Shuttle, and you can see little Mr. Potato Head on the wing riding with the crew. Here's the first game of the Space Potatoes, was April 19th, and you can see they won 4-2. Look at this, a great logo they have. So ISB, where the whole Potato Museum thing started, honored or looked back at 50 years of the Potato Museum. This is in their newsletter. And the Potato Museum started when Meredith and I moved to Belgium in 1973, and we noticed that people were growing potatoes in their front yards and side yards like we grow tomatoes or lawn. And they told us that during the World War I, potatoes were taken away by the occupying forces, and there were food shortages for Syrians, and people had to grow their own potatoes. And anybody who had potatoes was getting great prices for them. We have this is a caricature of a farmer dangling that we have. Then here's another guy who's got potatoes, and you can see he's going to sell them at a good price. Potatoes at this time were kind of a shortage was a kind of a subject for caricaturists, and here people who were not normally potato gardeners, potato growers, had to start learning to do it. And people were kind of smuggling potatoes. Here's a woman who's trying to get on the tram, but she's got too many potatoes. And here's some folks coming back from a trip in which they're kind of, I guess, smuggling potatoes in. So it was a funny subject for cartoonists, but it was a serious subject because the threat of 1 million Belgians could be facing starvation. And here's Jeffrey Miller, an American journalist, has been writing several books and researching this continuously. There's a link to a Daily Mail article about this whole effort, which was known as the Commission for Relief in Belgium. And I didn't know anything about this when I was living in Belgium, even though I was studying the potato and all that. So here's a little bit more about this. This is an exhibit showing that people were relying on these ships that were bringing food in. It was all organized by Herbert Hoover, and all sorts of nations supplied food, especially America, and they supplied ships. They came into the port of Rotterdam, and then they were offloaded onto barges and came down through the canal system. You can see this map here, canal system of Belgium. And then they were given to local cooks who cooked up these things and fed school kids and other people. This was one of the greatest first really food relief effort, largest one in history, and set the standard for food relief. Here's these commissioners. These are guys, mostly guys who were Americans who were spread out through northern France and occupied Belgium, who were making sure that the food supplies that were coming in on the barges were getting to the feeding stations. And all of this was coordinated in an office building, third floor of an office building that still stands in Brussels. And you can see these guys working there. And this building still stands. It's a kind of a quickie mart owned by Carrefour Express. And our idea is to have this building, a plaque on this building designated, explaining what the history was of the people who were doing this, who were saving estimated 9 million Belgian lives and northern French lives during the time of the German occupation of the Belgium and northern France. So the Potato Museum, we hope, will be eventually find a permanent place as a profitable tourist attraction, but also a certified and credentialed institution for future scholars. And you can see there's one vision of what it might look like. We have so all of the archival material, including the library, the books. That's probably one of the largest collection of books about potato in private collection. And one of the things that we have are all these slides of our trips and studying the potato for 50 years. Here I am making photos of these slide sheets with my assistant, Tallahassee, the Tater Terrier. So over the years, we've made attempts to make a catalog of our collection. We're not professionally trained museum people. But here, look, this partial listing of museum holdings as of February 1994. And so this is a pictorial and also lists of these, all the items we have in the collection as of 94. And of course, this was 20 years more of collecting. So I think there's another catalog back here, which shows more recent acquisitions.
Keep in mind, we were doing an exhibition at the Smithsonian. We were doing one at the same time in Ottawa at the National Museum of Science and Technology. So we had a lot of stuff, and we still do.
We had a lot of stuff, but again, this is all the subject of professional catalogers, but we made a start, and we know what we have. So what we do have is an entire collection of Spudman magazine, and we were traveling so much that we did these scrapbooks. So this is the Photocopy Potato Museum. These are six notebooks, scrapbooks that actually was a way for us to keep track of the archives that we were assembling. This one is lots of music, sheets of music, poetry. So we photocopied so much material because many times we were traveling and we couldn't carry all this with us. This is book C. And remember, this is the guy who...
We've got that clock. It's
yeah,
fabulous.
he gives the clock. So
use it with kids.
This was kind of random stuff, but it was so much material that we were absorbing, learning about this. Here's this guy
When
who
was-
makes the potato baskets in Maine. I just looked at that. I've forgotten about him. I know his name now. I can track him down.
When was the first book done?
I think this was probably
date?
in the 70s, maybe early 80s. This, and again, we were making photocopies of everything that we were seeing, learning, collecting, and so that we could have it in one source, even though these were going to be in boxes and bins and put away. We had this resource and then look at this one's place in Londonderry, Connecticut, New Hampshire, which is where the first potatoes were grown. So I haven't
More
looked at these.
stuff!
I haven't looked at these for
But
a long
it's good
time.
stuff, very good stuff.
And so
Part of the archives.
here's what I did.
Whoa.
I did as I made an index or table of contents to each of these books. I only got through 3 of the books, but look at the
You
details.
better get down to work again.
Each page is there, so that I could have some sort of sense of where things were and what we had collected and what we.
Oh, boy.
Over the years, 50 years of researching and collecting for the potato, we've taken thousands of pictures, and now we have to go through these slides. Some of them we have made contact sheets with, so you can see, but they are not necessarily coordinated with the actual film strip. So that's.
It's archives time again, folks.
Yeah, we're just showing you. This is a little book that I kept of quotes about potatoes. You see, it's very indexed.
Me too. It's my writing in
And
there.
a lot
Bubba.
of it actually is your writing.
Yeah.
So these were quotes and all sorts of things that we were gathering and trying to put in one place.
Part of the archives.
Yeah, this is definitely part of the archives. Earlier on in this book is dictionary printouts of dictionary references that go back a long time. Then this book was an attempt to have a day to celebrate every day celebrate the potatoes. So there's information on each day. Here, Harry Fraser was born on that day. This we didn't finish. We were going to publish a whole book. We haven't done that yet because some of these days we haven't found information. This was something that was done years ago. We can turn.
The book says 1979.
Yeah, turn back to it. So that was. Yeah, and we had a whole run of the American Potato Journal. They gave us this whole collection. And also the Potato Magazine, which is one of their, probably one of the few organizations that has a complete set of these very rare magazines. So that's it. The Potato Museum so far in the 2020s. Also our parallel organization, the Food Museum, and our project, the Global Food Heritage Center. So thanks for watching. This has been 50 years, 5 decades of our pursuit of potato and other foods. Thanks for watching. See you again sometime. If you like these videos, you can subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, but you can also leave us some messages because we always respond to them. See you again. This is a big accomplishment, 50 years of pursuit of the potato, and there's 4 others of these shows. See you again sometime.